Welcome back to another episode of Hawksology. I'm Jack Trae, and we were able to get a bunch of updates, information, and more about the Hawks because last weekend was Hawks Media Day and training camp also started. And so we were able to hear about the Hawks' goals and challenges going into next season and also from the offseason. And today we're just going to do a deep dive into all of that, try to read between the lines a bit, connect some dots so that we can get a better context for the things that were shared at Media Day or that happened during summer training camp. Well, basically everything except for what Mo Harkless said because the Hawks traded him to the Thunder. I've already begun working on a full breakdown of that trade and its implications, but for now, let's rock with Media Day. And just all the updates we got, first with Bogdan Bogdanovic. I'll let Landry Fields tell you guys.
Bogey right now is not going to be 100% for training camp.
And exactly that. Bogey had surgery in June to address inflammation in his knee, specifically his right patellar tendon. And already he was unfortunately not a participant during the first day of training camp. But the goal is that he'll be ready by the time the regular season starts. As Nate McMillan said, he'll likely miss the first two preseason games. But Bogey did allude that he could come back for the other two preseason games. And then next up, AJ Griffin. And at Media Day, he was reported to be a full participant in some of the scrimmages, practices that were going on prior. But recently, it's come out that he's been limited to one-on-one work, which is slightly concerning. So we'll keep an eye on his status with his foot as we head into preseason. But other than him and Bogey, the other concerns as far as Jalen Johnson, who had knee surgery this summer, those are all seemingly past him. But he and Trent Forrest as well will not be traveling to Abu Dhabi with the rest of the Hawks team due to illness, is what they say. And depending on the time, they could fly over later. But at least he was able to be a full participant in training camp and also some of that stuff going on before he got cleared for 5-on-5 around Labor Day, they said. Moving to John Collins and his finger, which looks pretty good, and also Frank Kaminsky, who only played 9 games last season because of a right patellar stress fracture, that those guys are a full go for training camp and preseason. And actually, Nate, Landry Fields, and some of the players themselves mentioned that for a couple weeks prior to Media Day, they had all been already in Atlanta participating in practice runs and doing all sorts of training activities with the team. Keep in mind that, unlike last year, also Clint Capella is actually healthy for training camp. He explicitly stated a goal of his is being one of the best defenders in the league this year. And also, DeAndre Hunter and Onyeka Okongwu were able to have healthy off seasons and come into training camp healthy. Those three guys, that difference when it comes to just development or solidifying the necessary skills for their roles, it's going to be massive. But speaking of Onyeka, he's trying to make a big jump this season from year 2 to year 3. And of course, we looked at his jump shot in the last episode, but per Nate McMillan, he is not yet ready to stretch it behind the 3. But there will be opportunities for him to take the mid-range. Although, we did see this at open practice. But the big point Onyeka made was that he is confident in his shooting ability, but he wants to do a better job of showing that confidence in-game and taking more shots. Those are just the main status updates we got, but before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff, that day was also, Media Day, was also John Collins' birthday, and the team surprised him with an awesome cake and gave us this wholesome moment.
Appreciate y'all, boys. Yes, sir, man.
I got a chance to chat with him for a sec, wish him a happy birthday, and he is really that truly stand-up guy you hear about. So shout out JC, and just, yeah, it was awesome that the team did that for him, had that little celebration. But let's hop now to the most emphasized topics, ideas that the coaches and players discussed, and try to figure out why exactly some of these things were given so much focus during Media Day. And one of the really big topics was communication slash connectedness of the team. Remember that leading into the summer, the organization was looking to completely blow up the roster. There were just so many question marks, whether it's the John Collins trade rumors, the DeAndre Hunter contract extension, the offseason injuries or goals for a team going into this coming season. But really, communication and unity between everybody on and off the court are extremely crucial factors in the Hawks reaching the actual level of success that they are capable of. And that's not what happened last year. And you could tell from the things like, the shortness of bench reactions, the posture of the players, that there's this buildup of anxiety because they didn't properly address or communicate as a team through all those question marks and external pressures. And so, in accordance with Landry Fields and Nate McMillan,
I think that we need to be better at communicating.
A big piece and theme that we're talking about right now is just a level of connection.
just the most impactful and most important area of growth for the Hawks is this unity. Now, if you're going to take away anything of what was said at Hawks Media Day, to really understand their goals from this offseason and heading into next season, we got to stop overlooking growth. Often the focus is solely on improvement, and that's probably why even still you can find a bunch of Hawks Twitter people relentlessly pushing senseless trade ideas and slandering our players. There's quite a difference between improvement and growth, but growth was what the Hawks organization prioritized this summer. Improvement measures the change in your ability to perform a certain action. For example, someone asked DeAndre Hunter what he'd like to improve, and he said,
just being able to handle the ball when needed.
But growth, it measures how you improve based on what you've learned from past experiences.
And like I said, overall, just growing my game. Like I said, I'm only in my fourth year, so there's still a lot I need to work on.
And so, especially with the players that are still on this team from last year, growth is going to be a bigger factor than improvement in raising this team's level of success. A lot of our struggles last year, and this is something people failed to understand when conceptualizing the Hawks, that a lot of our struggles, especially on the defensive end, had nothing to do with ability. And Landry Fields hinted at that, but still, if you're not sure what I'm pointing to, be sure you go back to the very first episode of Hawksology, because it exposes some faultiness at times within the team's approach and mentality, and really growth is how you overcome those type of issues. But just because growth was such a big focus doesn't mean that this team forgot about improvement. And that's some of where adding DeJounte Murray comes in. And you can look at that as roster improvement, but it's also one that is going to facilitate more growth amongst the entire team. Hey, Jack Tresh with Hawksology. What do you expect, or what should we expect to see on the defensive end from the trio of you, DeAndre Hunter, and Clint Capella?
It's not just about us three. Everybody has to buy in. Everybody will buy in. And, we're just going to push each other. You push each other, set goals to where we could push each other and make it fun, whether it's, getting these steals or these blocks or rebounds, whatever, just push each other. And, I feel like if we do that, and make some fun out of it, it'll be an exciting year.
And that's also the case when adding vets like Frank Kaminsky or Justin Holiday, who understand that their experiences in their time in the league can help them lead others to success. And yeah, especially as we move onto more basketball logistic type stuff, measuring our growth will be a pretty prevalent concept for the Hawks. And it's also just a big part to the answers to those big questions about this team, the speculations like how are Trae and DeJounte going to fit together? How is DeAndre Hunter going to fit into the offense, etc.? And even just according to Trae, DeJounte, DeAndre Hunter, Landry and Nate, even John Collins when he was talking about his fit with DeJounte, they all understand the idea that it's not going to be perfect from the start. It's something that's going to take time, to build that chemistry, figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that just speaks a lot as far as the character of this team going into next season, willing to work through that together. And that also points to just whether we're going to see more Trae or DeJounte on the ball. And regardless, that change is just going to lead us to see a different style of Hawks basketball than we've seen in the past couple of years. Oh, by the way, we'll have a complete breakdown of our offense, projecting possible sets, what it'll look like depending on what the defense throws at us, whether Trae or DeJounte will have the ball, all that type of stuff. And I guess with that, one big thing about Trae Young having to be more off the ball is being aware that he still has the ability to draw the attention of multiple defenders. And so at Media Day, I asked him about this. Lots of shooters are also great screeners. What are some ways that setting screens will help you impact the off-ball playmaking for your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously great shooters are great screeners because they know their man isn't going to leave them. So if you're a great screener, you're going to get your big man open. And so I know that. I've gotten my teammates open from setting screens. I know I can. That's why I want to get stronger. So that's why. So when I hit these big fellas, they feel me too. So that's what it is. So I know I got to get my teammates involved by screening too.
And so we'll take a more in-depth look at his answer, him screening, and what that can do for our offense. We'll take a look at that coming up. But yeah, Trae mentioned it himself, just understanding the attention he draws off the ball, and also that he put on some muscle this summer. Trae spoke a lot about wanting to win a championship. He's locked in on bringing that to the ATL. And we can just take away from Media Day with his dedication to that, and not only his, but everyone else. And then what's happening at training camp, too, with the lots of conditioning drills, the being assigned team captains, reportedly, that we're just going to see a very, very different energy behind this team in terms of approaching the regular season. And all of that's just going to lead to a very different style of basketball, like I mentioned earlier, a very different style of basketball than we've seen in prior years. And also just having everyone putting in the work, building that connection, being excited about it, and going after their goals, going after goals as a team. That's already a big sign of growth compared to last year. And simply, it's just going to raise the ceiling. It's going to lead to improvement all around. Like, for example, like John Collins, well, he mentioned in the offseason his goals to improve his ball handling or do a better job at getting to his spots. He also discussed raising his basketball IQ and his leadership. And like DeJounte said earlier, everyone's got to buy in and be connected with each other. And this will all just result in everyone being put in the position to do what each of them do best. And again, yeah, that's going to raise the ceiling. And this season should be pretty exciting because of that. Seriously though, guys, I know I have not been too consistent with posting recently, but since the season is right around the corner, the content is about to start flooding in. Okay, we're just building up until the season, throughout the season, after the season, from now on, where we're just going to straight up be locked in every minute. So I hope you guys are excited for what's to come, and also just like how soon Hawks basketball is starting up again. You can also just go check out some of the stuff on my Twitter. It's all Hawks stuff at Jack_Tresh. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about any takeaways that you guys had from media day, training camp, or even open practice. I didn't get into much of that now. I've already started putting together that Vid Creds trade breakdown, which should be out ASAP. We got an episode of John Collins from the floor coming out. And yeah, guys, we'll be back very soon. And as always, thank you for sticking with me and for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.